So a lot of the times on my channel, I don't really cover that much of like real life celebrity news. I usually mostly make videos about internet celebrities and internet drama, but I felt like this drama and this story itself was definitely something worthy to make a video of, especially because how deep this goes and how serious this whole entire situation is. But if you don't know, I mean, you probably do as you've read the title of this video, but Liam Payne, the famous member of One Direction. I mean, if you don't know what One Direction is, if you've never heard of One Direction, you're living under a legitimate rock for like the last, like, I'd say 15 years. I can't remember, but One Direction was a massive part of the 2010s and even just history now. Even if you like them or not, they are considered one of the most famous and one of the most, like, you know, successful boy bands of all time. You know, they broke a lot of records when it came to like the Beatles. Now, I'm not saying they're as good as the Beatles. The Beatles to me are definitely more influential, and like in terms of their music is a lot more better, but in terms of, you know, their status, they were a massive, absolutely huge. And it is unfortunate that a few hours ago, in a hotel in Argentina where Liam Payne was staying, unfortunately, he has passed away at just the age of 31, where he has supposedly, well, actually not even supposedly, it's actually factual information, that he actually fell off the balcony of the hotel that he was staying within Buenos Aires. And obviously he died on the scene, as I don't know exactly what floor he was staying on, but even if you're on just like the second floor, if you fall off a balcony and you land on the floor, if you land straight on your head, no matter which way, like what's going to happen, unfortunately you're going to have, that's going to be, you know, not a good thing to go along with you. Like it's going to lead to death is what I'm trying to say. And obviously when this came out, there's a lot of like people that were like already trying to speculate of why like this happened, because someone doesn't just really fall off a balcony for supposedly no reason or without like anything influencing them to go ahead and do so. So the moment that this came out, obviously the whole entire internet was speculating about like why this happened. Was it intentional? Was it accidental? Was there foul play involved? And we don't know officially yet. At least I haven't seen anything from the moment of me recording this video, but from what we can gather and from what the internet has seen, it is looking extremely obvious that the reason for Liam Payne's death has to do with drugs, because there has been multiple photos that have already come out. This right here is supposedly his hotel room. Now, I don't know if this is facts. I don't know if these, you know, photos that were taken were, that have been sent around the internet are actual factual information, but we do know that despite just these photos here, as you can see, there's a broken TV, there's a lot of drugs on the tables within the sink or bathtub. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but he was definitely under the influence of some kind of drugs. And we also know, CNN reported as well, that apparently the Buenos Aires police said that they had a personnel from their police station that was actually sent to the exact hotel that Liam Payne like was staying at after receiving some 911 calls of an aggressive man under the influence of drugs. And the police have not come out, they have not specifically identified this as Liam Payne, but there is also supposed witnesses in the area that did see Liam Payne acting erratically, and supposedly he broke a laptop as well within this exact hotel that he was staying at. And to be honest, to say that he was under the influence while this was going on is not really that far-fetched, as a few years ago, this article came out on TMZ back in 2021, where Liam Payne said that he has dealt with like suicidal thoughts during his days of One Direction, and he also dealt with drugs and alcohol abuse as well. And when it comes to, you know, his fair share of controversy that he has had over the years, he has not fallen short of that. I remember just a couple years ago, he had that viral Logan Paul podcast appearance where he, you know, talked about his dislike of Zayn Malik behind the scenes, talking about him and how Zayn had a rocky relationship. There was also supposedly that apparently him and Zayn were actually, you know, fighting backstage and, got into some altercations as well. And then not just him in terms of getting in altercations and having, with One Direction members as well, but also he had a controversy earlier this year where it came out that supposedly he pressured his his ex-fiance at the time, even when he was alive. They had separated before his death. Supposedly he pushed her into having an abortion as well during this time. And you're probably wondering like why I'm bringing all this kind of stuff up. Well, because of all this, because of these multiple controversies, Liam coming out and talking about how, his dislike for Zayn during the One Direction times. I'm not 100% sure if they really ever cleared anything up between the two. I know he was still friends with Niall, as he did go and appear at one of Niall's concerts. I think it was this year as well. Having controversies when it comes to speaking out against Zayn, and then also when it comes to, this controversy that he had with his ex-fiance, the internet backlash that he received was massive, was huge. And when someone who has dealt with, these types of abuse in the past, when it comes to abusing pills and abusing booze in the past, even during his One Direction times. I mean, when you get a certain amount of backlash on the internet, a lot of times, some people don't know how to deal with it, and they can't deal with it in the right way. So he probably, saw this backlash and things weren't probably going well for him in terms of his personal life. His ex-fiance broke up with him, and then she started, made a book about him and talked about very personal stuff. Whether you agree with what she said or not, whichever side you're picking, I still think that, to air dirty laundry and to air personal stuff like this to the public is not really the best way to go about things. Like I said, I definitely think you shouldn't push someone into having an abortion, whether you want to have it or not. But pushing a woman to do that is definitely, something that's not really good. But at the same time, that's something that should be kept within a personal space. And obviously, he probably, didn't know how to deal with this backlash, turned to drugs, and maybe his life's gone a little bit downhill. And now it's unfortunately led to his death, from what it seems. That's just where this whole entire story, and why I really wanted to make a video about this, is because of the circumstances that really surround his death. Because from what we're seeing, it's not necessarily a suicide by any chances, or definitely not foul play, because it doesn't seem like anyone pushed him off the balcony whatsoever. But I mean, you could call it a suicide in some sort of way, as he was abusing drugs, from what we are seeing online, from what different news reports are saying about him when it comes to the way he was acting at his hotel, from witnesses that have come out, and also from his past behavior as well. It does seem like he was abusing drugs. And if that photo that I did show earlier is actually his hotel, because like I said, I'm not 100% sure. It has been going around on Twitter over the past few hours since his death, it has come to light, of whether these photos are from his hotel room or not. But if it definitely is, then it's so obvious that he was probably extremely high on whatever it may have been. That when you're on drugs, now me myself, I've never been much of someone who delves into that kind of stuff. I'd keep myself. I don't really drink alcohol that much as well, but I've seen people who have been under the influence, and when they are under the influence, you act in radical ways, and you almost can't control the way your body is. And if there's a balcony nearby, unfortunately, sometimes some circumstances happen where it's going to lead to something as tragic as this, and it really has. And honestly, I feel bad for him, his family, especially if this is the reason why he died. Him being under the influence. It's absolutely tragic to have someone to stoop this low in life to the point where they have to turn to drugs and alcohol, and then it unfortunately leads to his death as well. I know some people online are already saying that, he brought this on himself by taking drugs, and yes, to a certain extent I can see where you're coming from, but I definitely think that is kind of radical to think that way. As much as, yes, obviously if you take drugs, it's going to lead to bad things in your life, but with the amount of things that he's gone through, I mean, One Direction, they became famous at an extremely young age, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with fame at an extremely young age as well. And unfortunately, a lot of people that are put in these circumstances turn to drugs and alcohol. And I honestly, I feel sorry for him, and I still do. The fact that this has now led to his death as well, I feel bad for his family and obviously all his fans as well. I was never much of a One Direction fan, being a dude, I feel like it's more of, I mean, boy bands. Who likes boy bands? It's girls. Like, let's be honest. My sister, when she was younger, she absolutely loved One Direction. Yeah, it's an absolute tragic thing to see, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to make a video about it, is mainly the circumstances surrounding, his death as well, and how tragic it really is. But I'd definitely like to hear what you guys think about all of this down below. That's going to be it from me. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Peace out.